Hello, I am Runissian Jörmanlandr. Today I'm going to talk about something I know quite a bit about. Hope. In dark times where you feel lost and feel alone, it is that feeling that can make you rouse yourself and continue onwards, stronger and happier. I know that some might find it hard to have hope, some have little hope, and some have an abundance. So much so that others find it overwhelming or annoying. From what I have witnessed in my years of travel, there are typically three types of hope. Allow me to explain them all with an example of my allies and myself, and perhaps you can relate to one of us and find yourself able to rethink how you feel about it, and potentially find yourself breathing a new breath of fresh air, repurposed, with a newfound strength. Allow me to restate how I met my allies as we continue forward. Dorian I met after defeating a dragon and following the name etched into the blade of a dagger that the dragon had dropped. This is a man who grew up in lavishness of royalty, never wanting for anything, but never taking it for granted either. His life dropped quickly when the Lonely Kingdom invaded and slew his family, ousting him and essentially banishing him to the island of Mata. He was no more than a young man when this happened, and he had to learn how to survive in a land of thieves and crooks. In your terms, he would have been 12 or 11 years old when he found himself living on the streets, finding himself in the charge of a group of servant boys and girls that he needed to protect. His life so dark and dismal that he learned to think with more gruesome view of it, and despite this idea he might someday return home and save his people and family, he grew to be bitter with it. His view of hope and his view on life took a darker turn. He became the kind of person to look at the dark tunnel and only see the darkness, not thinking about the light at the end, or even the ground beneath him. To him, there was only the darkness, and it filled every aspect of his life. It led him to steal from those starving, and to abandon those he made to trust him, save for his original group of runaways. Life, in his opinion, would always be a struggle, and anything that could put him ahead would be done. Eventually he learned a better path, stealing from those with excess and distributing it to those with little. Even those outside of his group, he took care of. Still, he never abandoned a sad look on life, and that it would always be hard and met with little rewards, even after I helped him reclaim his own and save his father and sister. To those with a similar dark outlook on life, I urge you to not only see the darkness, while the world may be a dark tunnel that you have difficulty seeing the light in. Remember that there are those who will willingly lead you to the way of the light, those who will save you from walking alone in your darkness. You do not need to abandon your way of life and your way of thought, but to remember that you are not alone. No matter how you feel, you will have allies. Next, Erixiel. This is someone that has lost a lot, just as Dorian had, but she took a different approach. While her family may have all perished and met a grisly end due to a dragon's wrath, she never gave up. Her eyes focused on her goal, and focused on what needed to be done and what she needed to do to continue forward, ever hopeful. She listened to the voice that spoke to her, and she made a bargain, gaining the strength to stop the dragon and bring peace to her village. She, unlike Dorian, did this on her own. She had no companions in her village and was pretty much an orphan by the time she was old enough to walk. She raised her younger sibling to the best of her capabilities, but ultimately the harshness of the world took them from her as well. Erixiel still persisted. Her eyes never dimmed, and she never changed who she was to her. Despite the hardships of life, she would continue forth and bring the happiness she felt at being alive to life in others. Even if yesterday was dark, tomorrow might be bright, and we should celebrate the fact that we get to experience it either way. To those with this outlook, I remind you that even if you can always see the bright side of any situation and can always find a way to look forward, never forget that you are allowed moments of rest. Take a second to assess your situation. Allow yourself to grieve, relax, worry, and plan. You are not required to always ignore your own emotions to simply find a happy path to walk on. Doing too much of that will result in a happy path being shrouded in darkness. Please, take a moment and think, feel. Finally, myself. The world to me is, well, just that. The world. I don't see dark or light paths, simply the path. I was raised to follow my destiny, and I follow it. My life is nothing more than one dark road or light road to the next road of dark or light, and I genuinely pay little attention to either the light or the dark. To me, sad things are just sad, and happy things are happy. My life at an early age was shaped by the destiny in which my father saw and prepared for, and I was raised for by the priests of Anlandr. I was raised simply to see the path of my destiny and just follow it. So unlike others, the situations for me are just what they are, situations. Not a silver lining between them, nor the darkness that may be held within. It is simply what has happened, and I spend my time reacting accordingly to the presented situations or problems. There isn't much more to say or do about this. For me, the tunnel is just a tunnel. There is no dark or light. It is a tunnel that leads me one place to another. That's all it is. However, to those that have the same outlook on life as myself, we must remember that just because we see the situations as we do, nothing more than what has happened, we should not judge nor insult, nor make light of how others view it. We can learn valuable things from the reactions that others have, and it may impact how we ourselves see what happened and how we would react. It also is not kind to judge someone or how they view the situation, as it could be devastating or breathtaking to them. So remember that our opinions, while valuable, should not determine someone else's as being overdramatic or silly. Remember, all that how we hope and our response to situations may be different. We should never lose sight of ourselves or the fact that without all kinds of different reactions, none of us would ever know the differences between gold and dirt. But that's all I have to say for now. Yoni Farslan, my allies.